Well, welcome to the first ever Benoit Motors podcast.
All right.
This is exciting.
It is. I've never done a podcast before.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I actually researched dealership podcasts, and I could not find any of them. They're all like podcasts for dealers, but not podcasts for consumers.
I'd love to tell you that I researched it, but I just didn't.
You didn't? All right. When you told me you want to do it. So anyway, I'm Brady Cannon, Jason Benoit here, the owner, the dealer, deal with the dealer himself. And so whenever he mentioned doing a podcast, we're like, yeah, let's do it. So this is the first episode. We're going to talk about the purpose of the podcast. I'm going to ask Jason some questions, but before we even start, what I want to let you know is that on YouTube or Facebook where you watch this, you can actually make comments, and we're going to answer some of those comments that people ask and answer. Maybe even do some giveaways.
Cool.
I didn't even approve that with you yet.
That's cool.
But,
Hey, let's
we'll
go.
do some giveaways, especially around Christmas.
All right.
So the goal is once a month, we'll hammer a podcast out. So please ask us some questions. I am not in the dealership. So I think first let's get to know you. So who are you?
Jason Benoit, just a guy from Sulphur, friend of Brady's. Yeah.
Right.
So been here about 4 years. I mean, you guys know the story. Had an opportunity and, then just jumped off the cliff, and here we are.
Here we are. How many years later?
We just 4 years and 3 months.
Gosh, I remember 4 years ago whenever you're like, hey, I'm doing this, and we walked up into this building, and even the room we're in now, and maybe I'll film some and I can show it right now as I'm talking, but the room that we're in now above the dealership did not look like this.
No, the dealership, there was rusted red iron around the dealership. The canopy was falling. I mean, thank goodness it was that bad. It was the only way I could afford it, right? So
Yeah.
we got a cheap dealership, and we've been able to put some things in it. And we feel like we got a really nice place.
Absolutely. So the purpose of the podcast is to get to know the people behind the dealership. We'll have some other people on here too that people need to go. Maybe even your wife, maybe. I doubt Mandy wants
We try to
be
keep
on.
her out of the business.
Hey, I actually saw when we get to the review section, but I did see that she comments on reviews.
She does, and I hear about it every time. So please, just call me. Don't put a review out there, because my wife wakes me up in the middle of the night and says, I can't believe we treat our people this way. And I'm like, baby, we don't treat them no way. I ain't seen you at the dealership.
But no,
Never mind. Edit that. I'm sorry.
These are live, by the way. So anyway, and so we're going to get to know the people behind the dealership. We're going to address some issues that the dealership is facing, which I know is near and dear to your heart.
Sure.
Growing pains type of things. And then we're going to answer your questions and comments. So customer corner type things. And so let's get into it. So who are we? So Jason Benoit, I've been knowing you since 1997.
Yeah, 6 or 7 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been knowing you since 97. So I know everybody knows you up here. You came blowing in 4 years ago of Jason Benoit, Benoit Motors. Then next thing you know, you got the Nissan, you got the Dodge, you got the Wilmart, you got Farmerville, other things in the making. But really deep down inside, where did Jason Benoit, where did you even come from?
That's deep.
That is very deep.
Well, I came from Sulphur, Louisiana. No, I'm just a regular guy.
How'd you get in the car business?
I was about to say, I unfortunately, wasn't very good in the education field. So, wanted to get married before I was educated. Anyway, so, the car business is a place that you can go if you don't have time to go back to school and you just got some hustle.
Right.
And that just kind of was my cup of tea. I actually started out washing cars, believe it or not, then swept the service departments at another dealership and wrote service at another delership. And then,
What year was that?
I actually quit high school. You might not want to put that on the podcast.
Oh,
but
absolutely, we do.
I quit high school in 10th grade, or my principal told me I couldn't come back.
Did you get kicked?
I think they told me I couldn't come back. It was like
That's a podcast for another.
It was like 11 expulsion hearings in the same year, and they said, "That's it, buddy. You're not coming back." So,
hey, so if you have a son or daughter out there, there's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope.
Yeah.
Because there's other really good people that made it through, and they're good people. I might not be one of them. No, so we did that, and so I started selling cars. You know the game. I'm not trying to get back into the whole ministry talk, but went into the ministry for a while. Met you, of course, but that didn't pay well. So we started selling cars, and we're doing car hustle and preaching hustle all at the same time. And then, next thing you know, we're just all in the car business. And so that's what happened. I worked for a couple of fantastic people. I worked for the Navars and Calcasieu Parish, fantastic place to work. Had another opportunity to work with another dealer in Calcasieu Parish for several years before I had this opportunity. And really didn't want to do this because I was kind of scared. But I knew I needed about 5 or 6 more years to work before I was financially going to be ready to do something
Yeah.
more relaxing. Really didn't want to do this, but kind of saw some things happening in my current at my current employer at that time that made me feel a little bit not secure. I felt like, all right, I better take this opportunity.
Yeah.
I actually planned on buying this store for when it got so cheap that everybody said, if
Really?
you don't buy that, get it, call me. You're crazy, Benoit, if you don't buy that store. This is an opportunity that you just don't not do this. But I was scared, you know, and I never wrote a check that big unless it was maybe, actually I never wrote a check that big for anything.
I was about to say, what else you write?
I was about to say, no, it wasn't that big of a check. So I was thinking maybe a house, but no, I never wrote a check that big for a house either. But, so we ended up, getting here and getting after it. My plan was not to be in the car business and DeRidder forever. I thought this is my opportunity to create some financial independence because I wasn't able to finish it at the previous career. And so I thought, well, I'm going to come here 2 to 3 years. I flipped a lot of houses. That was what I did on the side.
So you're going to flip.
I was like, man, I can sell my soul to this place and get after it and make something big out of it, and I could flip it and make a lot of money. Just got here and just fell in love with the community.
Right.
And somebody asked me the other day, do you really live here? I said, well, I moved Oscar up here last week.
I saw that.
Oscar's the last one that was left at home.
Oscar's the dog, if you didn't know.
So Oscar's the dealership mascot now, and this is our home, and we love Beauregard and Vernon Parish. We love it.
Yeah. So still have your house in Sulphur.
We don't go there, but I think it's still there.
It's still there. I may use it. So my son's actually playing golf now, so we may use your backyard one day. We may sneak in if you see anybody on the camera.
Tell these people I don't have a fancy house with a putting green in the backyard. I got a fancy putting green behind a very regular house.
Yes, absolutely. That just sits there in Sulphur. But so that's a little bit about you, who you are. So what's the next year look like, you think?
I wish I knew Brady. A lot of navigating through this tricky economic situation everybody's dealing with. Cash, everybody's just, rates are going up. It's really making it tough on families, fuel prices, all that stuff. We all know what's going on. Enough negative stuff on the news not to go there. But that stuff is very real, and so it does affect consumer behavior and asset value. And so right now, we're not really in a fun stage. We're in this navigational stage. We want to play aggressive enough to make sure that we're playing harder than everybody else, but smart enough to make sure we're not getting too risky.
Right.
Because we're really looking forward to 2023, kind of coming back really hard. We've done a great job through this time because a good friend of mine and partner, Chris Boyette, he's just I personally feel like he's the best used car resource anywhere in this particular area of the country. And I really believe that. I genuinely do. And so he has done a great job this past year making sure that our employees and our teams and our customers have had adequate inventory to create opportunity for customers and our employees. That's been fantastic. New cars are starting to come in now.
That's good.
So we actually have some inventory.
In all the dealerships?
Yes. Okay. Nissan is a little behind because didn't realize this. Toyota, Nissan, and Honda were affected pretty aggressively. I didn't realize that Japan had another COVID shutdown in June, which kind of put those guys behind a month. So November is when we're expecting our Nissan inventory to come back. We were thinking that as the inventory came back that the shelf life would not replenish because they were getting gone as fast as they came.
Right.
Of course, with, I'm not an economist, but with whatever's happening in government land where they're making the rates go up for whatever reason, and I'm sure they're way smarter than me, but that is definitely slowing down.
The interest rates? Is that what you're talking about?
The interest rates going up are slowing down the vehicle demand. So it's really looking like it's a blessing. It means we're probably going to have a couple of tough, challenging months, which means it's a great time to buy because I'm going to tell you, whenever we're not selling a bunch of cars, there's really like no deal that we won't take that day just out of pure pride of making sure that we don't blank, right? Yeah. So it's a great time to buy because of that, but organically with the numbers the way they are and the rates, some people might feel like it's not a great time to buy.
Right.
So with all that being said, we have Ford F-150s on the lot right now versus 3 weeks ago. Every time one showed up, somebody was waiting for it to get unloaded because they already had a deposit on it. So we're starting to see some product availability, which is regulating some used car values and kind of bringing some things halfway back to normal a lot quicker than we thought would happen.
Yeah.
The price you got to pay for that is it's tough right now, though.
Gotcha. So that's probably the next couple months. So like that, still growing aggressively. I know we released some videos earlier where you talked about plans for the future. So if you haven't watched that, go back on Facebook and you can find those videos as well. So that's who Jason is. I actually do not work at the dealership. We're just buddies. We're friends. I'm a pastor at Jason's church, and also I own a film business. So that's enough about me. All right, I'm just hosting this thing. But let's move on to segment number 2, which is what we're going to call growing pains. Ooh,
we've had a lot of those.
All right, so the growing pain that specifically we're going to talk about is it just happened when I was waiting for you downstairs, service department.
Okay.
So let's talk about, you have sold a lot of inventory.
Wish I would have pulled those numbers, but,
all right, but
thousands and thousands and thousands
all right,
of vehicles.
So you flood, I hate, flood it sounds like such a negative term, but you flooded cars into this region.
We did, yes.
Probably 200-mile radius, 150-mile radius?
It's going to sound strange, and y'all going to be like, this guy's in DeRidder. Who does he really think that we're going to believe him? I'm telling you, we ship cars all over the United States.
All right,
we really do.
So everywhere.
We are used car. We're a used car store.
Okay.
And we have a niche in that.
All right.
And so we do a lot of used car business.
Which means
regionally
of that,
for sure.
Service department.
Service department, and I tell you, I'll give you a positive plug, which is not on your notes, because we're so good at used cars. If you're ever in the new car market, I understand that there's dealers all over that have the same new cars. I say, hey, you might want to call us. Your trade's probably worth more to us than most folks because we have such a niche in the used car market. We know exactly where to go with your trade to get its last quarter. So that's a little plug for our dealership. But what was the primary question?
Service department, growing pain. How are you keeping up with how many vehicles you move, keeping up with the service departments?
And quite simply, we're not.
All right, so how? I'm just honest answer.
My mama says the truth don't always set you free.
No, I love that.
But the truth is the truth, and the reality is it's our primary focus. All we've done in the past 12 months is focus on infrastructure and development and staffing and training and recruiting. And the reality, Brady, I bought a bad dealership. That's, of course, why we could afford it.
Right.
What makes a bad dealership? First of all, the reputation of the dealership or the church or the company or whatever it is it's directly determined by the people in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had, if I bought a dealership that was basically, we can say, worthless, then it was probably worthless because I don't want to call people worthless, but they probably didn't have the right staff that I would want to keep. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
people make the ship go.
Yeah,
so
and the dealership prior to us, the folks that owned it, I would also, I'm not looking for negative comments, people that disagree with me. When somebody goes out of business, there's a reason for it. Yeah. Okay, I mean, and so there was some negative attachments to the franchise in this area.
Right.
And so we actually, I made a strong commitment. We're going to hire only this. We're going to do only that. And what we had realized, Brady, is good people didn't want to come to work here in 2018 because I wasn't here, but whoever ran the stores before had created a work environment reputation that good employees just didn't want to come here and be a part of it. So that was a major problem. And I said, we're not going to hire any of the old people back. We're not going to do this. And man, shoot, the day before we opened, it was like, we didn't have any employees.
Yeah.
And so we started to have to compromise our belief system, which is a tough thing to do.
Right.
It's something that we struggle with. And so we compromised my core value system in the kind of people that I should employ. But it was a tough decision because it was either that or nobody be in the seat when the customer got here.
So you're not just talking about service, you're talking about sales,
we're talking about
everything.
the whole dealership.
Deal.
So what we did with, but service primarily, as soon as we got this thing turned around, oh, shoot, never mind.
That was a car that started. Was that a Shelby?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought it was that.
No.
So we got that thing turned around, and so our staff now we finally have created an environment where we have quality people. Okay,
yes.
Quality people. Quality people in the service department, quality people working on the cars, quality people inspecting cars when they come in for an express oil change, quality people to call our customers back. And what we were dealing with was most of the complaints at the dealership were people not being followed up through the service department. Mm-hmm. And that's a real tough one, or vehicles not being repaired correctly the first time. Now, to be honest with you, Brady, prior to doing this, I was in the parts and service business for many well over 10 years at running multiple dealerships. And it's some of that stuff's true everywhere. No matter how good the people are, they're not always going to get fixed right the first time. Stuff happens. Right. The factory says you got to do this before you can do this.
Right.
Or we're not going to pay you for this.
There's things that people can't see.
And you just can't control it because the tech's like, I know it's not this, it's this, but it's a warranty claim, but the factory says you got to reprogram it and try that before you put a new transmission in. You know, so it's like some of the stuff we don't have control over, but nonetheless, if you have quality people and you can communicate well with your customers, that tends to solve a lot of problems. And I would say that was our biggest problem. In the past 3 to 4 months, we have had a real big positive adjustment, and specifically our Ford service department. Gay Scarborough, which I'd love for them to meet her one day, has been with Ford. Actually, she was the parts and service director for a really good friend of mine at a Ford store in Leesville in the 90s, McRae Ford. Mm-hmm. And so Gay had been with McRae Ford forever. Then she was with another competitive Ford dealer, and she's been with me since I opened, but she did not want the job that I wanted to give her. She kept saying, no, that's too stressful for me. No, I don't want that. And then finally I had the last complaint. I was up to here. I called her in my office and I said, Gay, are you the best service and parts employee in the company? She was like, well, I think I am. I said, well, I think you are too. And I was checking out payroll, and it says that you're the highest compensated employee, which means that you're the best. And right now, I need you to take one for the team.
Yeah.
And she said, boss, whatever you need me to do. And so Gay and I have been working close. We promoted Randall Heyman to general manager at Ford to work directly under me. Gay has stepped out of kind of a cubby hole because she was kind of just wanting to ride out the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, let's get this straight.
Right.
So me and you can get this straight, and then we're going to recruit, hire, develop young people, young talent. Yeah. But right now I have a very, very seasoned Miss Gay. She's a female service and parts director at the Ford store, and she's amazing. I've pretty much didn't give her a lot of choice, but ever since she's done that for me 6 weeks ago, I mean, we have had about a 40% increase in production.
Wow.
We've had a decrease in wasteful expense. We have had less phone calls from people saying, I dropped my car off 3 weeks ago. Nobody calls me. The only time I hear from anything is when I call them. Guys, I know that happens. I hate it. It makes my skin crawl. I hear about it at night. My wife, we hate the bad reviews. Right. It's not our heart. It's not who we are.
Right.
But it takes 175 people to get the job done, and we just run around going crazy as much as we can. So the issue is not fixing every little problem. We're focusing on fixing a process.
Ooh, that's good.
And so I'm not focused on each transaction, but we are working diligently behind the scenes on a process. Yeah. And so, and I really think we're there, Brady.
And that's like when you're building anything, the structure is the most important. So now you're kind of relaying the foundation. Even before we came up here, I saw Randall and her working together with a customer.
Did you? Good.
Yeah.
Good.
You didn't even know that.
I didn't, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and he called her in, and they were dealing with it, and next thing you know, smiling faces are walking out of the office, which that's great. So
people got to. What we find with employees is, and I tend to manage kind of aggressively. There's different kind of coaches. I'm more of a Bobby Knight.
Throw a chair across the dealership.
But people. I say weak people are scared to have tough conversations.
Yeah,
and when you're in a service department, the toughest job at a car dealership, I've done it all. I've been a dealer, I've been in service, I've done parts, I've done sales, I've done accounting, I've done it all. The only thing I haven't done, there's a couple jobs I hadn't done, but I've done most of them. Hardest job at a dealership is a service advisor.
Because you have to make the call?
Because the customer brings you a car that they're paying money on every month, maybe just bought it yesterday. They're firecracking mad about it. They've got a note due tomorrow. They're late for work. And you don't know how to fix their car, but they're telling you everything that's wrong with it, and they're frustrated.
Yeah.
And so this person has to I relate their job to a server at a really busy restaurant.
The kitchen
controls the game, man.
Right,
the kitchen controls your paycheck.
Yeah.
No matter how nice you are.
Yeah.
And in the shop, the quality of work that's being put out in the shop dictates how the production levels that go out for the service advisors. Issue with that is when there's a hang up in production, or there's a back ordered part, or there's an unforeseen situation. We teach you have to get customers that answer the phone when you call them. They're much more understanding when they're calling you than when they're calling you at 5:25 in the afternoon.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, I hadn't heard from anybody. Y'all close in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you would think, Benoit, I can't believe you let people like that work for you. Like, I really don't want to.
Right.
And I think we're doing way better at it. And I think less and less of those people work for me. But I couldn't just snap my fingers 3 years ago and say, I bought this Ford dealership. All y'all techs that hadn't been fixing cars right, you're out of here.
Right. Then you have nobody.
I got nobody. And it takes years to develop a factory trained technician. So just, you can put a sign out front. You can start selling cars for cheap and putting too much money in trades, and you could grow a sales business overnight.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure of having to have the knowledge and capability to really take care of that after the sale, quality, according to factory specifications, we can't just get guys off the street to do that.
Okay, so question. So what do you suggest a customer do if it is 5:25 and they are leaving for a ball tournament the next day, they need their vehicle? What's a practical thing for them to do if they haven't heard from anybody? Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Unfortunately, they should call, and they should call before 5:25. But it's really not their responsibility. But that's what they should do. I like to get out in front of it and say, hey, listen. I want the people to know what to do when there's just a bad situation like this. I want to hear about it if they didn't call you back.
Right.
Yeah, I can't call you because I don't know that it's here and they didn't call you.
Right.
Somebody's got to tell me they didn't call you. And we have a speak to the dealer
hotline.
Hotline is basically what it is. It's on all of our digital platforms, and it used to be something that I personally handled every single one. Now I'm personally involved in the results of every single one, and I'm personally available to speak with any of those customers that do not get their resolution from the team. But I have a team of people that are not paid on pay plans. They're not paid on anything other than customer satisfaction.
Okay,
their job is to represent my heart to my brand, to my people.
How many people you got doing that?
3.
3 people.
And so what those
are
folks,
they right next door? Is that those people?
Yeah, they and they're all. It's the people in the hall right around my office. It's my little executive team. Gotcha. And so when somebody's frustrated enough because they've been burned or beat around the bush or whatever people call it. Man, I hate to find out about it on Facebook. I hate to find out about it on the Google review. I hate that stuff. I mean, it hurts my heart. It hurts my guts. It hurts a lot of employees here, families. It hurts a lot of things. So I'm like, tell me about it. So we try to create a scenario where if you go to our Facebook page, it's the top tag. You don't have to look for it. It's the very top post. It's an upset customer standing there like this. Click on that.
Yeah.
Whatever you type there is coming to my cell phone.
Oh, wow.
And I have literally gotten those. My wife gets frustrated. Actually, Mandy's pretty cool, Brady. The kids get frustrated, but she actually does a good job with it. I remember this past Christmas, they were upset with me because I was walking around the countries of Epcot.
Yeah.
Talking to a speak to the dealer complaint on my cell phone. And, until we get our processes and procedures working efficiently, that's just a price you got to pay to be in my seat.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
We're going to get there, I promise.
And I think you will too, especially with the people that you're training. It takes I don't know if you remember that old leadership saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the team. Yeah. So you're wanting to go far. You're in this for the longevity. You got a team. So I would definitely take advantage of the deal. Speak to the dealer. Is it still deal? Do you still have that?
Well, we do the deal with the dealer thing. We don't promote that as much as we used to. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the competitors would call the Louisiana Motor Vehicle Commission and tattle on us.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And the Motor Vehicle Commission would call me and say, how can you really deal with everyone since you have 4 different addresses? I'm like, what do you mean? And they said, well, isn't that kind of false? What happens when you outperform everybody in your market really bad?
Yeah,
they like try to create excuses. And so we deal with that a lot because we sell all the cars around here. But that's just part of it. But so I don't necessarily do deal because back then, if you came in here and wanted to buy a car and you just wanted to deal with me, you could.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, if you want to deal with me, you still can. Probably have to have an appointment now.
Right.
Or just be lucky because we have so many places that I work every day. We don't know where I'm going to be.
So do I need to bleep out deal with the dealer? And it sounds like we're cussing. Like bleep, bleep.
Yeah. But you can deal with the dealer's team any day.
The team.
And you can deal with the dealer. Yeah. For sure, if the team don't make you happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the team don't make you happy, and you'll hear from me anyways. After you're happy, the design of the purposes, the customers do get to hear from me. Right. But the design is, I give the team about 4 to 5 hours before I make my call. Yeah. And before I call them, if they know that the customer shouldn't, at that point, not want to talk to me anymore because they've already been made happy, then my follow-up needs to be, hey, Miss Jones, do you still need me or did my team take care of you? Oh, Miss Benoit, they took care of you. Yeah. Great. Thanks for reaching out.
Can you remove that Google review?
Now, can you please delete that bad Facebook post?
No, but I actually, doing my research before this, I actually went on Google and looked at all the reviews.
Okay.
And some of them are still from like 5 to 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Back with the old dealership.
Which is unfortunate because even though our reviews are pretty good,
Right.
Some of the they're only ours for like 51 months.
Right.
So
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, those aren't ours, and they were mostly poor when we got here.
But what's awesome is a lot of the people that had a negative review, and it's like, don't deal with this dealer. But then there's a disclaimer that comes back and says, Randall Heyman took care of me.
Yeah.
Best dealership ever. Because it was like a 4-star review. I'm like, you just said don't deal. So some people are actually going back and like putting disclaimers.
We try to do it. I tell people the truth. It's like we give a lot of money away. And I tell people, we give money away because our heart's wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a good heart. I believe that I do, and I love kids' athletics, and that's
but
what
you got to have money.
But at the end of the day, it's marketing as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's marketing.
Yeah.
So we're going to buy Johnny shirts. We want it to say Benoit on the back of the shirts, So the Google reviews are no doubt the part of the job where when we find out about that review, it hurts my heart for a lot of different reasons. I genuinely hurt for you.
Right, absolutely.
I genuinely hurt that you were treated bad in my business by my employees.
Right.
And I take that very, very personal.
Yeah.
So we want to take care of you. Yeah. And then, yes, we want your mercy after the fact, because as long as if we don't correct that review, or at least let the people that read those reviews know, the owner did call, his team called. I'm not retracting anything we said, but this was their follow-up action. They did the right thing. That's all we ask, because, everybody from the car wash guy to the girl that takes the money at the cashier's office to the girls that do the title work, people that you don't even know.
Right.
This is how they provide for their family.
That's right. How many employees?
175.
175 families.
175 families.
Right.
Mostly in Beauregard and Vernon Parish. So that's a huge economic impact. And yeah, I get it. I'm greedy, Jason Benoit. Don't say anything bad about my business. But man, people don't realize sometimes give us an opportunity to do what's right.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're hurting more people than me.
Yeah.
You're actually hurting my employees more than me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I worry about my employees.
And that's always been your heart. I mean, knowing you for as long as I have, I know that is your heart. And so that's going to be it for this first episode. I think next time what we should talk about is the community outreach, like what we're doing in the baseball teams and the football teams and all that, and maybe get some different comments about that.
Well, we do. And, you need to get with Catherine or Courtney, because our football season is a big deal for us, and we're all the local high schools. We do the kick for cash at halftimes.
Oh yeah,
we go and we provide a fundraising opportunity for the clubs within the schools.
Yeah,
it's a big thing that we do for all the schools. We don't keep any of the proceeds. We actually fund. We don't even expense like the ticket sales, the printing. We pay for everything, and we let clubs at schools.
All right, don't give it away yet. We need episode 2. Episode 2.
Okay, episode 2.
Episode 2. All right, anything else? Last thoughts?
Please come buy a car. Business is kind of tough, and I promise you, I'll give you a really good deal. I promise.
Well, I'm going to test that out here in a second. So, all right, thanks for joining us on the Benoit Motors Podcast. Catch you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.